All right, let's dive in and talk about EdTech. We're going to try and demystify what that term, educational technology, really means. Because as we're about to see, it's so much more than just the latest shiny gadgets in a classroom. It's really about a whole new way of thinking about learning itself.
So let me ask you, when I say technology in school, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Is it a fleet of new laptops? Maybe a big interactive smartboard on the wall? Yeah, it's easy to just picture the stuff, but is that really the whole story?
Well, it turns out the answer is right here, and it's beautifully simple. This quote just nails it. It's all about using technology as a tool for the practical purpose of helping students learn. See that? It completely shifts the focus from what the tech is to why we're even using it in the first place.
And that's the perfect lead-in to our first big idea. Before we get into any of the hardware, we have to understand what educational technology is at its core. And it's this. It's a purpose, a thought process, not just some product you can buy.
Okay, so here's the more, official definition from the Association for Educational Communications and Technology. And I want you to notice some key words here. Study, ethical practice, facilitating learning. This isn't about just throwing computers at kids. It's a serious field of study about how we can ethically and purposefully use the right tools to make learning better.
So how does the teacher actually figure out if a tool is the right one? Well, they've got to have a plan, and it starts with a checklist, kind of like this. This is the essential gut check. Before you bring anything into the classroom, you have to ask, is this actually better than what we were doing before? Can every single student use it fairly? And here's the big one. Does it let my students do something totally new in a new way they couldn't before? If the answer is no, then it's probably just a gimmick.
Okay, so we've got the why down. Now let's peel back the cover and take a super quick tour of the what. Because to really talk about this stuff, we all need to be on the same page with some basic vocabulary.
First up is the CPU, the Central Processing Unit. Easiest way to think about it? It's the brain of the machine. It's the engine doing all the heavy lifting, all the calculations that make your apps run and everything feel snappy. Then you've got RAM, which stands for Random Access Memory. Now, if the CPU is the brain, think of RAM as its short-term working memory. It's what lets the computer juggle a whole bunch of tasks at once. The more RAM you have, the more tabs you can have open without everything grinding to a halt.
And finally, where does all your stuff live long-term? That's the hard drive. It's literally the computer's digital filing cabinet. All your essays, your photos, your programs, they all get stored right here until you decide to get rid of them.
And speaking of storage, you got to appreciate the scale here. It all starts with one tiny little bit, just a 1 or a 0, but it grows fast. 8 of those make a byte. 1,000 of those is a kilobyte. Then 1,000 of those is a megabyte. Today, we're talking about gigabytes and even terabytes in schools. It's just a mind-boggling amount of information.
All right, we've got the purpose, we've got the parts, but how do you make sure all this tech is being used well in thousands of different schools? Well, like any other subject, there are rules to the game. And that's where standards come in. They give everyone clear guidance.
And what's the point of these standards? Simple. They provide a common framework so that technology is used effectively and, this is so important, equitably. It's about making sure technology is there to empower every student, not just the ones in a certain school or a certain classroom. And these standards don't just exist in a vacuum. There's a whole hierarchy. At the very top, you've got big national organizations like ISTE setting the vision. That vision then trickles down and informs state-level standards, like the ones you see here for Maryland. And finally, those get adapted and put into practice at the local school district level.
So let's zoom in on that national level for a minute and meet the biggest player in the game, the ISTE Standards. You can think of this as the official playbook for creating a tech-savvy, successful student. And the core idea behind this whole playbook is fascinating. It's not about which apps to use. No, it's about empowering student voice, making sure learning is a student-driven process. It's about shifting kids from just sitting there consuming information to actively getting up and creating something with it.
So here they are, the 7 core goals. This is the vision. We want to help students become empowered learners and responsible digital citizens. We want them to be knowledge constructors, innovative designers, and computational thinkers, and ultimately to be creative communicators and global collaborators. This whole list, it's the roadmap for what a truly modern learner looks like.
Okay, so that's the playbook. Now, let's bring it back to reality. Do a little thought experiment with me. Picture yourself walking into a modern classroom right now. Keeping those 7 standards in mind, what actual digital tools do you see students using?
And that brings us right here, to our final section. This is where the rubber meets the road.
We're going to look at how that playbook gets put into practice with the actual tech you'd find in a school today.
I'm guessing the list you pictured in your head looks a lot like this one, right? You've got your basics, of course, the laptops, the tablets. Then you have the tools for sharing and collaboration, like interactive whiteboards. And then you get to the really exciting stuff, the tools for pure creation, like 3D printers and robots. And of course, the whole thing is powered by countless different apps and digital services.
And this brings us full circle, right back to our main point. Listen, it is never about the gadget. It's not about the Chromebook or the 3D printer. It's about how that tool is being used to help a student become an empowered learner or a global collaborator. The tech is just the means to an end. The empowered student, that's the goal.
Which leaves us with one last big question to think about. We've defined the purpose of EdTech. We've looked at the hardware. We've gone through the playbook that guides it all. So now that we have this framework for creating a whole new generation of empowered thinkers and creators, just imagine, what incredible problems are they going to solve?